Hey everybody, how we doing today? I was sitting here thinking about the day. Do you ever wonder, because I do, just what goes on in a typical day on Spaceship Earth, our pale blue ball here in the galaxy? What is a typical day for planet Earth? I thought about it, and I started looking some stuff up. I made some notes. And I thought I'd share some of them. And I think we'll sort of start, I don't know about happy, but we'll start with the more positive and then we'll work into the stuff that's kind of a bummer. So currently, each day, or today we'll say, there's 80 quintazillion molecules. Could start the day and theoretically will end the day. And for those of you who don't know what a quintazillion is, that's for 80 quintazillion, that'd be 80 with 48 zeros behind it. So it's a pant load. Sex of some sort will occur 120 million times today amongst us humans of one sort or another. 120 million times. Isn't that nice? For the lucky few, it may be the same couple a couple times in the day, right? There'll be 100,000 weddings in the world. And yes, that includes gay weddings as well as straight weddings. 100,000 every day. There'll be 385,000 babies who will be born. So 385,000 souls will begin their journey here on Spaceship Earth. 20 million will celebrate their birthday today. 20 million people. So when you think you're unique that your birthday's today, you're not. 20 million just celebrated today. 700 million kids will attend some sort of school on this planet today, so that's not too bad. This is kind of fun. 132,275 million gallons of beer. So 132 plus million gallons of beer will be guzzled today. The world likes its beer. I didn't look up whiskey. I should have looked that up. 10 million gallons of ice cream will be devoured. Oddly enough, like 6 pounds of broccoli. What are you going to do? Especially here in America. 3,000 books will be published. 3,000 books a day are published, and based on Florida, about 1,500 will be burned or banned on the same day. Probably Texas too. There'll be 4,000 patents for new inventions every day. 4,000. Don't know how many are successful, but they'll file paperwork for 4,000 patents. 12 billion phone calls will be made. There's a select handful that get a ton. Fortunately, I do not. 300 billion emails. Every day, 300 billion emails. I wonder how many of those 12 billion phone calls, well, we know they're all recorded and stored in that place, and I think it's in Colorado. I wonder how many of them are listened to. I should look that up. But anyway, 300 billion emails, you have to assume they're all being read, especially you guys that are doing shenanigans and nefarious skullduggery type crap. 250 miles above Earth, the International Space Station will actually orbit the planet 16 times, which is pretty cool. That's an amazing feat. In our observable space, at least the space that we're aware of, 270 million stars will die or go dark. I think the moon will move 0.0014 inches further away from Earth, which means that affects our tides, which we'll all be long gone, anybody watching this, but down the road, as the moon gets further away, it's going to change the course of this planet forever. The sun will burn over 51 trillion tons of hydrogen, which is like 600 million tons per second. And we only see 1/1 billionth of that energy. The part that blows me away is we spend more time arguing over hoople heads on cans of beer than we do trying to figure out how to harness more of that free energy. It's just a shame. But 51 trillion tons of hydrogen every day. $6 billion globally will be spent on military efforts around the world, which currently there's actually 40 wars being waged simultaneously currently on the planet. Now here in the United States, we're only aware of one because we spend more time on TikTok and Instagram. We're more concerned about whose lips or ass is bigger than what's actually going on the planet. But I'm going to assume Europe and stuff is much more aware of the conflicts around the world. But most Americans can name, uno mas one. What else we got here? 90 million barrels of oil will be pumped today. 2 billion tons of ice will melt and go into the ocean. Now, this will be much to the chagrin of that cat, Senator Jim Inhofe. Remember a few years back, he was that cat that brought in the snowball in the Ziploc bag to prove that there was no climate change. He's just, I think he's a Republican from Oklahoma or Kansas. It doesn't really matter. The Middle America, some hooplehead from 6-7 years ago. I don't even know if he's still in Congress, but 2 billion tons of ice melts every day into the ocean. 1.5 million tons of methane and 93 million tons of carbon monoxide is pumped into Earth's atmosphere each day. I don't know if that's a lot or not, but it sounds like a lot. I know it's more than it used to be. And another 27,000 tons of deadly chemicals will be dumped into our oceans and air and land by corporations and quite frankly, the governments that are too afraid to tell these corporations, no, you can't do that. Deadly chemicals like you breathe them, you die. You touch it, you die. This one's kind of a bummer. 3 million tons of food will be wasted today. And that's a third of all the food the planet produces every day. 3 million tons of it will be just wasted. And in that same day, 25,000 people will just starve to death. How is that even possible in the modern era? That 3 million tons of food just gets wasted and 25,000 people, probably most of whom are children, died today. 700 million currently live on this planet in extreme poverty. 940 million will spend the day without electricity, though I don't know how many choose to spend their day without electricity. But 940 million people every day don't have electricity, which probably means no running water. 150 species will become extinct, most of which are small bugs and microbes and things of that nature. But 150 species disappear every day. 28,000 football fields. If you fill 28,000 football fields with trees, that's the number or the size of deforestation every day. We burn those trees down every single day. That's a lot of football fields, kids. 65 million tons of fertile land is lost every day to soil erosion because people refuse to listen to scientists and rotate crops and do what they need to do to keep the soil stabilized. 200 million land animals will be slaughtered today. Most of those are chickens, pigs, and probably ducks for food. But 200 million every day. Out they go. The reality is 150,000 people will die today and tomorrow. 27,000 or so will be from some version of cancer. 21,000 will be because of some sort of tobacco related, which just blows your mind, right? You didn't. Anyway, 21,000 people are going to die of tobacco. I don't know how many of the 21,000 didn't choose tobacco, just happened to be hanging out with a cat that was into tobacco. And every 34 seconds on this planet, someone will have a heart attack. I don't know if it'll kill him or her or not, but every 34 seconds, someone's grabbing their chest. In Poland today, for example, 13 people will die by suicide, which seems relatively low, so most Polish people must be in pretty good shape, or they're pretty happy in their current lives. 117 people today died by gunshot wound in the United States, something that's never talked about. I think it's like 300 and something are shot, so a little less than half, or a little more than half, survived their gunshot wound. For example, like 92 people in Brazil died today in car accidents. 1,600 people died in France today. About 8,000 people died in the United States. It's just amazing what happens in a day. But think about the Voyager. Every day it gets, I don't know, another billion miles further away from Earth on its journey to hopefully discover a new sort of civilization or new life with our messages on that golden record. That's kind of uplifting. But anyway, I thought some of that was kind of interesting. A day in the life of our blue dot and what's happening. And I'm sure there's a zillion other things that are happening, obviously. These are just some things that popped into my head. I can't believe I didn't think about the whiskey. I should look that up. In fact, you know what? I might look it up, and you may have already seen it. I'll put it up on the screen with the lettering and stuff. Anyway, kind of interesting. As always, crack a book, you might learn something. But in this world, when you can be anything you want, you be kind, you be humble, be forgiving. I haven't said be melting snow. You can always reinvent yourself and start anew, which is what I'm going to do tomorrow. It's a new day, so we'll start anew. Who knows, maybe some of those statistics will start to go our way. Anyway, have a good night. We'll see you later.